and start.
All right. So as you can see, and as you know the date on the calendar, we are approaching Veterans Day. And so today I wanted to share some special ideas for veterans and ways that we could be helpful to our neighbors as we reach out. And that is especially the veterans. So I thought this quote from John F. Kennedy was just amazing, as most of his quotes are, all of his quotes. But as we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them. And I think that's what I appreciate about this group of people so much, that have, um, you know, latched onto the WAVwatch and have really appreciated its usage. They are actually sharing with people. They are not just uttering words, they are living by them. They are sharing them. They are helping other people. They are reaching out. They are letting people know that there are different alternative ideas that they can use for their health. And so that's the neat part about this group, is their willingness to share and to reach out. So once again, thank you. Thanks all the vets. Thank you for your service, your protection, and your support.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
So today we have, I have just a couple of ideas. We have a couple of veterans with us who have stories to share, and we could also have a couple questions for them if you want, if you'll put your questions in the sidebar, and then they'll kind of be reviewed and worked with that way. But just a little bit more to start with, there are a lot of veterans out there that need our help. They're estimating, as this is of 2021, that we have 5.9 million vets who served during the Vietnam era. We have 7.8 million from the Gulf War era. We still have 240,000 World War II veterans. I'm actually amazed at that number. I didn't know that there would be that many. Lots of years since the World War II. And then we have 933,000 who served during the Korean conflict. So lots of veterans that we appreciate so much and that we need to be working with. So Dylan, would you like to go ahead and share your testimony?
Absolutely. Thank you. So my name is Dylan. I'm 31 years old. I served in the Marine Corps. And through my service, I ended up getting quite a few injuries, whether it's back pain or hip pain or neck pain, anxiety. I mean, if I went over the whole list, I'd have you guys here for probably 10, 15 minutes. So where my journey began with this WAVwatch was back in November. I started having heart issues, and I was in and out of the hospital probably, I'd say, about 6 or 7 times. The doctors could not find anything wrong with me. They kept telling me I was fine. But I mean, I'm old enough to know, and I know my body. I know when something's going on. I knew something was wrong. So by the grace of God, I got in contact with Linda, and she put me onto this WAVwatch. And through working things out and process of elimination, it came to be that Lyme disease is what was bothering me. And Linda said, well, I have this watch and I think it'll be able to help you. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I was skeptical in the beginning, because I was like, how is frequency gonna help me with a disease as serious as Lyme? So I used it for a month. I ended up getting rid of the Lyme disease. And when I got rid of it, I started using it for other things. I started using it for GERD. I started using it for back pain. And then my family started hopping on board, and I started telling more and more people about it, and other veterans that I knew had other problems. And when I was in and out of the hospital, I was in such a bad spot that I actually had to stop working. And this WAVwatch gave me the ability to make money and get back to normal life. So this product is completely revolutionary, like, for me. So I think that getting it out there is a great thing, and I think that anybody that wants to utilize it can utilize it and be better for it. So that's what I wanted to say about it.
Thank you. And I guess maybe I missed what service that you're in, and when were you in the service? How long ago has it been?
Yeah, so I was in the United States Marine Corps, and I got in 2012, and I got out in 2016. So it feels
See.
it feels like a lifetime ago, but
Wow. Okay. Amazing part of your life. And hopefully it's going to be a part of your life, but not control your life. How is that a good way to say that?
for sure, for sure. And I would say that because of some of the injuries that I sustained, it kind of did become my life. You know what I mean? And this watch has given me the ability to really manage it. I mean, seriously manage it to where I can get back to normal life, which is the quality of life is everything. You know what I mean? Especially when you've given your body to something. So it's phenomenal.
And that's a way to say that you've given your body and the aches and pains and the mental stress and everything that our veterans go through is a continual cycle unless you can find some combination that works for you. So I'm really glad that the WAVwatch seems to be working for you. I really appreciate
Absolutely.
that. Yeah.
Absolutely. You
Any
know,
questions? Oh, go
and
ahead.
having like severe anxiety from all this and sitting down and then all of a sudden you have a beehive in your head and you're not sure why, right? And you're actually be able to take something that's and use something that's not a pill is incredible. It really is.
And Dylan, did you have trouble getting into the VA for services? Was that a long wait, or how many doctors did you end up going to trying to get some relief for your problem?
So that's actually a pretty incredible story in itself. So I'll try to give you the short version. I had tried to reach out to the VA about this, and they just really weren't responsive. And they were going back to what the doctors in the ER rooms were saying that nothing was wrong with me. And I eventually kept going until they put me on a medication called metoprolol that was supposed to help with my heart. And what ended up happening was I had an adverse reaction to it. Um, I was I was laid up for probably 8 to 10 days to where I could barely walk. I was having trouble seeing. Um, every side effect you could think of, I had it. And I was literally laying there, and it took them like 16 days to be able to get me a referral to actually for a cardiologist itself. So I was laying there at at the age of 29 thinking, or excuse me, 30, thinking like, okay, this is it. You know what I mean? Like this is how I'm gonna die, because nobody would help me. And so I was taking the metoprolol, and my doctor, since I was having such a bad reaction, she said, okay, I want you to take a quarter of the pill. Okay. So the pill was already perforated. So you can't cut a perforated pill in half because it's extended release. So me not being a pharmacist or a doctor, I didn't know that. So I continued to do that. And what I was doing was I was spiking myself with metoprolol, which is a beta blocker. So instead of having this medicine last for 24 hours, it would last for probably about 12 to 13. And my heart was starting to rebound from this medication. So I went into the ER and I told them what was going on. They were like, stop taking it immediately. They gave me an EKG and found out that because I was misusing this medication, it gave me an arrhythmia. So, and I was obviously very upset by that. That doctor didn't know that. Um, so what I did was I ended up getting in contact with the patient care advocacy, and I ended up moving doctors. And this new doctor I got, she is a godsend, and she is all on board with the WAVwatch, which is pretty cool. And I think that might be a door to be able to help other veterans in the VA with this stuff. But since then, I'm everything's good, but it was a lengthy, hard road with the VA when it came to these issues because they kept saying nothing was wrong. And in fact, they were like, hey, we want you to go to a walk-in clinic for psychiatric help. And I'm like, that's not what this is. I know my body, something's going on. And luckily we got to find out that it was Lyme disease that was bothering me. And because of how Lyme disease works, where it stores in your spine, where it was storing in my spine was affecting my heart. So I don't know if it was Lyme carditis or not, but I do know where it was being stored in my heart or in my spine was affecting my heart. So,
Wow.
and being able to get rid of that, I've been fine. I've been able to get back to work. I'm back to working out. I'm just back to normal life. So,
Oh, wow. I think you've, given us a lot of information there about what every veteran goes through and actually anybody that's sick. We do have a tendency in our country to go from one doctor to the next and they refer us to another one. And then, one pill is tried and then another one. And I guess I'm not trying to say that the WAVwatch is a be all end all. I'm just trying to say it can be useful for helping between those situations. It's not FDA approved. It's acoustical frequencies. So that does make it where you wouldn't have to worry that you are going to have a reaction to something that they have given you. It could be used with other medications. And like I have said many times before, probably the biggest question I have is, can I use the WAVwatch if I have a pacemaker? And that makes it so simple to answer. These are acoustical frequencies. So if you have been told that you can't talk to somebody or you can't listen to music because you have XYZ or you have XYZ medication or, whatever your situation is, that just kind of negates. That means that gives us kind of a green light that acoustical frequencies are going to be safe with whatever choices you have made for other treatments in your process. And it's can be a lengthy
right.
process for a lot of people. So anything else or any questions for Dylan?
Well, I don't see any specific questions in the chat or the Q&A yet for Dylan, but sorry, excuse me. But Dylan, I remember hearing your story a few weeks ago and just the challenge of with any chronic condition like Lyme disease or a heart arrhythmia, where there is, and for you, I don't know if you said this, but that the heart issue you're feeling was causing anxiety, and then that was, feeding, but actually at the root of that all was Lyme. And just the challenge to understand all that. Um, uh, I mean, it's amazing that you're able to get help for that and then find relief from the WAVwatch. I know so many people struggle with Lyme disease for 20 years. It's such a
Right.
difficult. So, but one thing I would love to hear is, what was it like I mean, did the Lyme symptoms go away gradually? What were you feeling? And, I know you mentioned previous that you didn't work before this because things were so bad. Like, what was
Mhm.
kind of your process of what were you feeling when you had Lyme disease and the heart arrhythmia, and how long did that take to get better?
So it took me about a month to completely get rid of Lyme disease. And I've noticed that with the watch that there are some things that I can run that I'll feel better in 30 seconds, like back pain or whatever. And then there's other things that just, it takes time. Like you have to use it
Right.
continually. Almost like I know there are some medications out there that you have to take for weeks on end before you get any type of relief. So the symptoms I was feeling was I felt really sick. And then what my heart would be doing was my heart would be beating and then it would just stop. It would stop beating and I would have to like pat my chest or I'd have to like take a really deep breath and then my heart would start beating again. And it's when it started beating again, it would like be at a really, really fast pace where it would like take my breath away. And that was happening, I'd probably say quite a few times a day. And I started using the watch and I noticed that it was more and more infrequent that it was happening up until the point where I found out I didn't have Lyme anymore, and that's when they were becoming more and more infrequent until it just wasn't there anymore. And if I remember right, it was like probably I'd say a week and a half that they weren't there anymore until finally I went back and they're like, okay, you Lyme's gone. So that's the process that I went through, and I'm so incredibly thankful that I only had to deal with it for a short amount of time because, like you said, there's people out there that have dealt with it for a lot longer. I know Linda had a testimony from a woman that dealt with it for 10 years. And I'll tell you, if I would have had to deal with this for 10 years, I would have lost my mind. And the fact that Linda was able to help me with it so quickly and I didn't have to take antibiotics, intravenous or oral is just, it was a godsend, seriously.
Yeah, that's amazing because I know that's usually a big protocol for Lyme. And you were just talking about, the frequencies and running that, and we did have a question on that maybe you could answer. June Franklin had asked, how long did you run the Lyme disease frequency daily?
So there is a set of frequencies that are in your line. And how I did it was I did every single frequency once a day. It wasn't even something that I had to run 24/7. Now, I will tell you, because of how many issues I was having, if that thing was not being charged, I was using it. But it was once a day up until I got rid of the Lyme disease. Now, I didn't want to become dependent on the watch, just like you don't want to become dependent on medication or anything else, right? So I was able to use it nonstop until I got to a point in my health and in my life to where I was able to use it for maintenance. And now I can use it as a maintenance tool and not something that kind of keeps me going, if that makes any sense.
So at first you were running sort of like the line folder kind of nonstop throughout the day.
So I would run a bunch of frequencies throughout the day, and then Lyme would get hit, like the full Lyme folder would get hit once a day.
Okay.
So if I remember right, I think 21 frequencies in there or
Mhm.
somewhere around there. So I
Yeah.
would run 1 through 21 at least one time. And there were some other days where I was like, maybe I'll try to get ahead on it, and I would run it twice or whatever. But just staying diligent with it really is what got rid of it for me.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And somebody else in the Q&A just asked something about tinnitus, and this maybe is a support question we could answer later. I can on chat, but just a question. Do either of you suffer from tinnitus? I know that is sometimes something military veterans experience.
Yeah, 100%. So that ringing that you hear in the WAVwatch, if you turn it up to like 12 and you hear that really loud ringing, that's like what's in my head all the time. So
Wow.
I have that, and I have a little bit of hearing loss. So yeah.
And were there specific frequencies that you played for tinnitus that helped you with that as well?
Um, Not specifically tinnitus. Plenty of other frequencies that have helped. I haven't had
Mhm.
tinnitus work for me.
Okay.
I do know other
Yeah.
people that it has worked for, and that's also something I've noticed is like some things will work really, really well for me,
Hmm.
right? And then some other things will be something like I was saying with the Lyme where you have to like build up to it to really get it to help.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I think that's something we can say honestly. Some things work really well. Some things work for different people. You know, every body's different. Every person is different. And so, yeah, I will respond to this question then with some frequencies. But you got several. Also, Kevin Hoyt, he just said he wanted to say he doesn't have a question. He'd love to comment that you had such an incredible story that he'd love to hear. So thanks for your comment, Kevin.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm happy to share it.
Dylan,
You guys have been amazing. Seriously.
thank you so much for your testimony today. And gosh, Ricky, I don't know if you've been over there and now we're going to put you on the spot. Is this a good time?
Yeah, it's perfect time.
So we have another veteran who Dylan introduced to the WAVwatch, and I'll let you tell your story or however you want to give us information.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Linda. And thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Dylan. Um, my story is similar in a sense that I am a vet as well. I was in the United States Coast Guard. I was in from '08 to 2010. I was honorably discharged. And I deal with not as many of the physical symptoms like Dylan was dealing with. I dealt a little more with the mental side of things. So the first day that I was introduced to the WAVwatch, I was at work working for the city of Ozark doing some landscaping and grounds, and I was really struggling with kind of some panic attack feelings, with bipolar symptoms, some mania, some depression as well. And I was introduced with the watch. Dylan said, "Hey, let's try this. See if it's going to help your symptoms at all." Because I was at a point where I was ready to go home and miss work. So I put on the watch, and in less than a minute, I literally yawned 6 times. So when my I notice like when my body gets really tense for an extended amount of time, the yawns is proof that my body is starting to relax and then also take in oxygen at the same time. I could say that that was kind of a game changer for me because I've been so worked up prior to that. And to be quite honest, a little bit vulnerable as well. I started crying. at work. I didn't show it to anybody, but I literally I went behind a building and I cried for about 5 minutes, because the relief that I felt from the WAVwatch and from just the genuineness of who's introducing the WAVwatch, Linda, Dylan, it really hit home for me. It hit my heart in a very powerful way, because I've been struggling a long time, and I have tried different medications. I've been on so many different psych meds over the years, and kind of like Dylan said, it's not a weight that the WAVwatch is going to just take it away, but some things it does actually take away, and definitely gives me mental clarity, and it helps with my moods, panic attacks, and it also the physical stuff. Believe it or not, I've had it on Lyme's disease mode as well. And I noticed within like 30 seconds that my organs and just my body really relaxed. And I had been dealing with inflammation a lot, inside my body for quite some time. And that relief and that release was honestly, it's a game changer for me. So I'm a firm believer. And because of that, I've also introduced family and friends to it. And I hope that we can get more Weight Watches. So that's all I have right now, but thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And,
Yeah.
just the idea that your emotions, what you go through, and, again, it is affecting your day to day. Were you still able to work okay, or was it affecting your work?
It actually helped me work for the time that I was there. I had some other things go on in my life, some emergency situations where I couldn't continue to stay at the job, but it wasn't because it's not because of the WAVwatch. It was kind of unrelated to that, but definitely, I love using it even in my day-to-day, daily life. So,
Well, and I'm not sure if you're sleeping with it or not, but so many people
yes,
are really playing with it when they sleep too.
yes, I
So.
use it on the apnea mode. I will say that too, Linda. Good point. I've used it on apnea mode every night for the past couple of weeks, and I do get better sleep. I've tried a CPAP machine. I've even been fitted for the mouthpiece for sleep apnea. And when I put this thing on apnea every night, I do get better sleep. So
I love
so
that. Yeah.
multiple angles that I've used it for, and it's honestly been very helpful. I like to play with the different modes. And right now, I'm kind of doing some detoxing stuff. The bipolar, of course, and the sleep apnea, Lyme's disease as well. It's very helpful.
Perfect. It is so wonderful to have you both, kind of give a direct testimony. And I know I kind of put you on the spot pretty quickly a couple days ago, but thank you for coming on today. And we just want to say thank you to you, that for everything that you did. And I'm not for sure what the rest of your week is going to be like, but I know we're going to be seeing flags everywhere, and people
Yeah.
are trying to be more appreciative. And what I am seeing from so many of the people who come on the webinar and who are WAVwatch owners is that they try to share. And so we have some of the most amazing testimonies from sharing. And Dylan's a perfect example. He shared his WAVwatch with you, another veteran, And
Yes.
so that's hopefully the whole theme of this week is, reach out. Share with your neighbor, share with another veteran, share with your son, your daughter, whoever it is, and let other people know that frequencies can make a difference in their lives, So
Absolutely.
appreciate it, guys. Anything
Thank
else you
you.
want to add?
Well, if I could just make a comment, I just love hearing your stories, and you guys are vulnerable and honest. So many times I think, if we don't understand the military and what it's like to be in it, we don't know that, underneath this tough guy persona, we all struggle with I mean, especially in the last few years, the awareness of mental health, whether that's anxiety or depression or other things like you mentioned, or just even not being able to sleep well because we've got so much going on in our heads and our minds, or, information overload, and how important it is to be able to to be real with ourselves. Hey, I need help. And whether that's, using the WAVwatch, getting a good community, getting help from a counselor, but yeah, so excited that you guys are pursuing the journey and that we're able to be part of that. And I think you both said sleep was a big deal. So glad to hear that it's helping you sleep better. And also just
You know,
we do have.
it's hard to be vulnerable to 83 strangers, and tell intimate details of my life, but I think the reason what makes it so much easier is that this product works, and it can change lives. You know what I mean? So the fact of being vulnerable to people was kind of like not even a thought in my head. It was like, hey, I want to be able to get the word out there because I know this is going to be able to help other people.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, a few more comments. Just one, Vicky Aker said, thank you, vets. And so thank you, Vicky. And June Franklin, on the subject of sleep, said the GERD frequency helped her within 10 minutes, and anxiety helped a client fall asleep in 5 minutes after being up all night. So yeah, that's true. I myself one night couldn't sleep and just put on that anxiety frequency. So yeah,
Quite a few
so
testimonies on sleeping, and another person said OCD. She plays OCD when she wakes up in the middle of the night. Her mind's just going 100 miles an hour. So different people find different things for sleep. So you have those things on your watch. You don't have to get up and go rifle through your pill cabinet or something like that. So that does make it easier.
yeah, so and Rob just asked the question, can you explain where and what you use for sleep? So you mentioned anxiety, OCD. Are there other frequencies that have helped you all with sleep? And you said sleep apnea. I'd love to know. I actually haven't seen that one. Ricky, where is that?
The apnea is, let me double check here. I believe it's in lungs. So
Oh yeah.
organs and then lungs. And I
Okay.
click on apnea, which is the second option on my WAVwatch.
Mm-hmm.
And it plays for 8. I've got it set on kind of a cycle through on that. So does
Mm-hmm.
that help you, Joseph? Is that what you're looking for?
That's perfect. Yeah, they just want to know what you're specifically using to get those results. And so the
Yeah.
apnea and then also the anxieties and the emotional health, right? Or the Bach remedy.
Yes. I do cycle through a lot of, I actually use the ADHD and the bipolar.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the mental health stuff goes, I use those two more than anything. But the
Mm-hmm.
calming, the anxiety works well. So really, just honestly, they all kind of have their own effect. So it's
Right.
really great that there's so many options, and it truly is. It's a godsend.
Awesome.
What I use is I use calming. So I use emotional connections to sleep
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
inside the emotions tab, and then I use calming. So I've actually put on calming before, and I'm out like a light within probably 5 minutes. So
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah, we're getting a lot of people asking about this. So obviously this is something, not just veterans struggle with this.
That's
oh yeah,
right.
definitely.
Yeah.
Can I say a couple more things?
Yeah.
My mom, she ended up beating cancer, and she got put on a drug called progesterone to help with her sleep. When I introduced my mom to this watch, she said she'd wake up probably 6 or 7 times a night, and she would only get about 2 hours of sleep and wake up. As soon as I gave her this watch, she was able to sleep for a full 8 hours and not wake up, which she had been dealing with that for probably about 60 years. So the fact that she was able to get a decent night's sleep for the first time in 6 years speaks volumes about what this can do.
Wow.
Another thing too, if I may interject, I have a neighbor that I specifically had in mind when I was using the WAVwatch who has arthritis really bad. He's in his 80s, a neighbor of mine, a good man. His name's Gary, and I used the watch on him, and in less than 3 minutes, he said that the arthritis he had been dealing with for a long time. I'm not sure exactly how long, but he said it was gone. So I
Wow.
know that it's been a very powerful preventative maintenance tool, and also, like I said before, it can actually reverse a lot of situations. And another thing too, there is an insomnia mode in these, So that's one that I did recognize that I've used before too, and I think that was kind of pre-apnea. So now that I've kind of done both, I can just continue to use the apnea and get my normal sleep.
That's awesome. And man, this is great because you guys just talking about all the different things that you're using this for is stirring up a lot of people on the webinar to ask some more questions. So if you got a
Awesome.
few more minutes, Martha, well, first of all, Vienna and several other people said thank you for your service and sharing your stories. And Martha asked you, Dylan, what setting did your mom use? I think for this story you were just
So
telling.
I believe it was emotions with sleep, that and calming, and she was able to get a full night's rest, which I mean is it absolutely incredible. And
Yeah.
and when she told me that, because obviously I was very anxious to see whether or not it was able to work for her. So we had to wait all night, and then I gave her a call in the morning, and she started crying, talking about how she was actually able to sleep finally.
Wow.
It's
Wow.
amazing. It truly is amazing.
All
I,
right.
I've had a lots of people that have turned on to it. My father is an amputee. He's disabled, and in his so he's above knee amputee on his right leg. So his stump, he gets like these shooting electrical pains through it, and he
Right.
has a lot of wear and tear on his left leg because obviously everyone has a lot of people have two legs, so all that wear and tear goes onto one leg, and he would have all kinds of pain, and he was like, I don't want to take any opioids, I don't want to take any pain medication. And I'm like, here man, try this watch and try inflammation, pain, and trauma setting, and just see what it can do for you. And he put it on, and he tells me how much it helps.
Wow. Thank you so much. Just checking for a few other questions on here to see if anything else, any other. So I see a lot of maybe specific questions we could answer later, just about the watch or how to use it or specific frequencies. Somebody did ask, has anyone been successful with the psoriasis frequency? I think that is that a skin
Hmm.
issue? I don't know if
Yes.
that's something you guys have dealt with at all or, um, but yeah.
I have
And
not,
okay.
so I
First,
couldn't talk about the psoriasis or any type of skin frequencies. I haven't had to use them.
I'm kind of in the
You
same
sh-
boat as Dylan. I've not used the skin ones yet.
Okay.
Well,
All
we've
right.
really put you on the spot for a while, and you've shared some amazing things that we wouldn't have even thought to ask you. So I think
Yeah.
our listening audience got a lot more ideas. Thank you so much, Ricky and Dylan. I really appreciate your
Absolutely, I'm
time
happy to
today.
do it.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yes.
Thank you, Linda.
You are
Yeah.
just welcome. I have just a few other things to share with everybody. And Dylan and Ricky, you're welcome to stay, and add something later if there's anything that you want to add to at that point. But I know you have busy days, and
Yes.
times.
Appreciate you guys. God bless everybody.
Yeah, thank you. God
God
bless.
bless. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So just another couple things that I wanted to share. There are many more women going into the service now. So the WAVwatch is equipped for either way. It doesn't really matter. It is set up with lots of different ideas. So the two young men gave us a lot of different ideas that I wouldn't even have thought about asking, and they have learned to use their WAVwatches for different ideas. So just a couple more ideas on the importance of us really honoring our veterans. We've put them through a lot. Their bodies and their minds and their spirits are all really on the line when they enlist in the service. So veterans have 14.7 times they're more likely to have health problems than the general population, and 14 times more likely to have 4 or 5 more medical conditions. So, I mean, they really do have problems from their service. And as you can tell, they do have a list of what these problems are. So, the most chronic health conditions were pain, sleep problems, anxiety, and depression. So we've already kind of had some ideas on that, haven't we? That's exactly what they were talking about. Those two young men fit exactly into the categories that they've collected. So this is what the WAVwatch has been very good for. So maybe we can, the WAVwatch could stand in the gap for some people that that you love and you care about. So we've already talked about, through just a testimony, the length of time that it takes them to get into the VA, the different doctors, how hard it is to find exactly what's going on. But if somebody had the WAVwatch, they could possibly start using it for a variety of ideas, because there's 1,000 ideas. So everybody might find something different that works for them. And again, it's non-addictive. It's not a prescription. And so it is so much safer. So I want to share just the idea that it's great for all ages, kids, veteran. We have another veteran and his wife in the center. This is George. And pets have been using the WAVwatch. So it is very versatile. It doesn't mean that if you order it for one person in your family, that's the only person that can use it. It can be passed around. And even if you have the WAVwatch on your wrist and your pet, maybe a smaller dog or cat hops on your lap, they are able to actually absorb the frequencies. Or if your grandchild is sitting on your lap and you have the calming frequency on, wow, I'd love to have some feedback if anybody, had some support with a grandchild that was having some problems, and then they just calmed down because the grandparent happened to be playing calming on the WAVwatch. You never know. Something that's new today that I wanted to share with you is the fact that we do have other tools. I started developing this in 2009, I believe, is when I first started my first patent type research. And several things have popped up. And I think that this is what we need to think about, that frequencies are coming into play. There's different types of tools now available. And what I'm seeing is that we can have quite a range of ideas and tools, but we might want to be aware or have a gauge so that we know what we're purchasing a little bit. So I did find this tool here in the center, and it's some kind of a watch that you wear for motion sickness. So I'm not sure exactly, how it's set up or the ideas. I'm just saying these are some different tools that people might be looking at. So this one's just for motion sickness. So the WAVwatch has motion sickness on it and 999 other frequencies. So here's another one in the lower left corner for sleep and calming, and it's $497. And this one basically is something that you put around your wrist and your ankles at night, and then you have headphones on, and then you set it with the larger system. And it only has frequencies for sleep or calming, So the WAVwatch has that, and 998 other frequencies for exactly the same price. Now, here's another one in the middle. This is for cramps. And so I've been trying to describe this, and I finally found my picture so I could show it to you. But you're going to, stick something on basically your ovaries, and then you've got, to put something in your belt. And then it is going to actually be putting out some kind of a frequency for cramps. Well, the WAVwatch has a frequency for cramps, and I hope I'm not getting too overwhelming, but it also has 999 other frequencies. Same way with the mosquito one. It is $40. It's a watch. Similar, the WAVwatch, of course, has a little bit more because the mosquito one has one frequency or so for the frequencies itself for mosquitoes, where the WAVwatch has so many other frequencies. So it is just a little bit bigger. And then Lyme disease, this top one, it's a wave. I believe this one might have some light therapy on it also. So it's just a little bit different. But I'm just letting you know, we have some tools out here that are $2,500 that you would wear on your wrist. And it's just for Lyme disease. And Lyme disease is 20 to 25 ideas on the WAVwatch out of the 1,000 selections. So you have a lot more ideas for $497. And then the last one, this is a stress tracking and monitoring one on the upper left side. And this is monitoring. I'm not sure what you do when you figure out that your body isn't where in the right rhythm that you want it to be. So it's tracking and monitoring, but it's not really working on anything. So I guess my whole point on this is that as we look to help people, and specifically our emphasis this week is on vets, as we look to help them, are we going to be helping them very much if we are just, giving them a product that works on one idea? So hopefully you are going to look at some different ideas and make a decision and share if that's a possibility with you. So anyway, just thought you might like to see that connection. And we have just a few minutes left, but these are some of the selections that are available on the emotion folder. So these are some that we have talked about already. So here's the emotions in sleep 1, 2, and 3. Here's ADD, ADHD, the anxiety, the bipolar. And if you weren't on board when Ricky was telling his testimony, he said in just a short period of time, did he say 1 to 3 minutes, JR, that he thought that things had changed? He felt his breathing changed. I've already forgotten whether he said 1 minute or 3 minutes. It was quick, wasn't it? So it happened.
He said very quickly he was feeling that.
I think he said a length of time. But anyway, so some people think things and ideas could change a little bit quicker than other people. And Dylan's example was that Lyme disease ideas took maybe about a month. So be prepared, but at least you are wearing something rather than having to take something every day and then worry about side effects. So we do have lots of emotions. We also have other brain ideas. So mental clarity is in here, anxiety disorders. Again, calming is in here. And sometimes I put things in a couple of different times so that you could, go through them and not miss them and see them, find them in a couple of different places. But you can make your own playlist. And so this is just an example of a playlist. And these were in several different folders, but you are able to put those together and work with those if that's something that's of interest. So emotions are so, I think they're overtaking our society. Is that a good way to say that?
No, absolutely. I mean, I think in
know,
the last few years, everybody's been much more aware of anxiety, of PTSD. It's becoming, something that we all deal with, and there are a lot of reasons for that, but absolutely, I agree.
Mhm. And so I think emotions are front and center on what we want to be taking care of. And we have to be so careful of the things that we do for our emotions, because now we are hearing some very negative connotations from prescriptions that people have taken, and then they cause other side effects. So I just wanted to show you, and I've showed this before, but I had a lady that was about 82 years old that came in, and she said she had PTSD. And I always believe everything everybody says. It's like, why? How did you get PTSD? And her reply was her great grandchildren. She was so emotionally tied in with whatever was going on that she considered herself to have PTSD. So I was able to capture her images in my office and take 3 images 30 minutes apart. So basically, the first image on the left with a thermography camera, which is able to capture heat patterns. So the white is the hottest, and then the red, just different forms of red, orange, yellow are different degrees. We want our nose to be blue and cool, and our cheeks a little bit. So this first one, this is when she came into the office and she was really upset and said she had PTSD. So then she wore the WAVwatch for PTSD, and Sorry, I jumped there. The second picture was taken, and you can see immediately in just 30 minutes that her look really changed. So she had a lot less inflammation. So we were also playing the inflammation, pain, and trauma. I kind of had it set on a loop for 30 minutes. And then these are the next pictures, or the pictures that I took at the same time, of a side view. And for some reason, this one got flipped over here. So the one on the right, I did not know that. So the one on the right where she is really red and white is the first one that I took. And then that's what she looked like when she started. So we had the inflammation and trauma frequencies added. And then 30 minutes later, this is what she looked like. And then in the next 30 minutes, that's what she looked like on the left. So she also gave me an amazing testimony just to let me know that her tension had dissolved. She could hold her shoulders better. And I have showed that one before too. But today I just thought I'd show you those images to show that we do have some proof, some type of equipment, thermography, that shows the difference in her inflammation in an hour's time. So hopefully that's what some of our guys are feeling. So these mental health problems, they're saying 30% of our Vietnam vets have trouble, 20% of the Iraq veterans, and 10% of the Gulf War and Afghanistan veterans can have mental health issues. So if you know anybody, that might be a way to reach out and share your watch with them. Just let them wear it for a little bit when you're visiting with them, or take them out to dinner, and see what something like that could change in their lives. You never know. Also, we are trying to work with other people and some different organizations. And Dylan has been working with us a little bit to see if we can make some connections to be able to donate some watches to veterans. So if you'd like to be a part of that or share anything, just type in the sidebar, and my son Joseph can keep track of that a little bit to see if anybody would like to be involved with us.
Yes, absolutely. Can I say something real quick, or do you have a lot?
Yes.
Um, uh, One thing that we haven't shared yet, but that Dylan has connected us with a veterans organization. And so hopefully in the coming weeks, we'll be able to share a potential partnership to help them. So yeah, definitely if you want to be involved in that, or get updates, just, put a question in the sidebar. And but yeah, we're really excited.
Yes. So it's just so great to have enthusiasm from Dylan and from Ricky, because we know that changes have been made in their life. So we'd like to affect more than just those veterans that we might know. So we would like to reach out. So thanks for your interest. If you're interested, let us know. I have a couple more test ideas that I wanted to share with you, and I have shared these before, but obviously everybody doesn't see them. So there is another test that I actually took when I was in a really high stress level, and you actually stand on a kind of it looks like it's a walking machine. I couldn't find a picture of it, but I should have been able to get that for you, and I do apologize. But it was a computer system that was scanning, and I had to put my hands on it. I stood a certain way, and then I put my hands on so that it could scan me. And it came up with these figures that, 50% I was stressed. My autonomic nervous system was stressed. And you can kind of see they've got a color code over here for your brain, and I am in the moderate classification here, and having trouble. I felt stressed. And so that was a perfect time to get this screening done. And then I wore the WAVwatch for 20 minutes. And it looks like it's kind of after 20 minutes working with the WAVwatch using a stress code. I believe that's what I was doing. This is what the chart said. So I went up, my brain changed to 90. I went from the 50 to 90. And so you'll see their color coding changed. And all of a sudden, I'm not quite excellent, or, I'm just right there. But that was just 20 minutes of wearing the WAVwatch. And that was to help me release stress. So just thought I would share that with you also, that we do have some, ideas and some testing that shows that the WAVwatch can be helpful. Testimonies are great, but so are, some reports once in a while to let you know. So this testing was done right here in, I'm having trouble with all these screens today. Menla Technologies, and the information is info@Menla Tech if you're interested in that, because they do have these systems all over the US. So that might be of interest to you, and they can test all kinds of things.
So
Okay.
there is now a block on the top of your screen kind of
Yeah.
blocking that name.
There, I'm trying to get this off.
No problem.
Do
And
not know why it won't go off.
while you're doing that, several people have responded they're interested in helping vets to get watches. So actually, probably the best thing is for anybody interested just to email me. And when that's ready, I'll let you guys know. But it's joseph@wavwatch.com. So if you're interested in helping veterans, or if you have other questions about the webinar, if you would like the slides, if we didn't get to your specific question, if you have a support question, maybe not sure how the watch works, or yours might be having an issue, or you can't find a certain frequency, our support team is awesome, husband and wife team. And so you can email info@wavwatch.com if you have support questions. So just while you're doing that, and several people said thank you and wow to what you're sharing there on the brain scans.
Okay. And then just a few more things to share. And, the two young men that we had that were so giving of their time today, and, they gave their life, they gave their body years ago when they enlisted in the service. 6% of veterans will have a heart attack, compared to 3 to 4% of civilians. So even the heart attack rate is more. And they're saying that is from the stress, the PTSD, and combat disorders. So everything that they go through adds more and more to their problems with their heart. So it is so important, again, that we become the people that we need to, I know so many of you reach out, but I think I've just gotten more and more aware that I could be doing more, I could be helping some of these people. And if you want to join in that, if support, I would just really love to be involved. So we're just kind of getting that organized now. But just to think that the stress is going to make a difference in their heart, and make the I'm trying not to cry here. It causes 2 times the heart attack rate, is what they're saying. Okay, that's a different way to say it. So 3 to 4%, if you aren't a veteran, heart attack rate could be 6% from being in combat and having all the stress. And even if they weren't in combat per se, just the enlistment and the veteran service has raised those rates. So we need to be so aware and helpful with these people, and whether it's a man or a woman, because they are all in the same combat zone ideas. So another idea is if you have a WAVwatch and you don't know what to play for that veteran, though I'm assuming if you're sharing it with them for a short period of time, that you could play some kind of the emotional stress or PTSD. That's an obvious. But if you have more time, or if you're able to loan something to them, inflammation, pain, and trauma are a really good starting point. Then follow up with parasite combo and detox. And this is what is said on the very first paragraph of the frequency list. It tells you right there what to do. It shows you right here. That's where I took that from. So if you don't know where to start, that's a good starting point. And here's why. All of these ideas on inflammation, joint pain, you could pick something like that. Or again, if you have a short period of time, you would just be able to see the inflammation, pain, and trauma and see if that might help work. But here's the one I think I wanted to show you before we ran out of time. Parasite folder is so important. So important, because this is all of the ideas and you can play them from start to finish. You can go through one down to the other. And I was interviewed on um, another webinar yesterday, and the person gave me the greatest visual in my mind. He said, "Oh yeah, the way that the WAVwatch will go from one to the other is just like those old record players that we used to have. You know, you could stick 10 records on and it would just play one record, and then it would do its thing, and another record would fall down and it would play that one, and then it would do its thing." And I had forgotten all about that, but I thought that was just a perfect concept to think, okay, it just goes from one song to the next song, or from one record to the next record. You don't have to do anything. You can set it like those old time record players that we used to have. I don't even know what those were called. Maybe somebody can refresh my memory. But this is what some of these parasite problems look like. So, and leishmaniasis is something that they bring home. It's a sandfly native. It's a parasite disease from the bite of a sandfly. And so they can have weight loss, fevers, headaches, muscle pain, anemia, enlargement, and it can even be fatal. So that's why our veterans need to really run the parasite folder. Maybe start with some pain, obviously, some trauma ideas, some emotional ideas, but make sure that they cover the parasite ideas also. And then you could continue with detox. We've talked about this before, but all of these kind of detox, we all know some of the ideas from the chemical exposure and the nerve gas agents, and the list goes on and on. So those are 3 easy ways. And then the last thing to tie up, if you wanted to be working with a veteran very specifically, is sleep watch frequencies. You know, so these are some ideas right here. And this one, you know, just kind of lets you know that there are several ideas. If somebody wakes up a lot from 1 to 3 in the middle of the night, that's usually a good time to play liver. That will make you go back to sleep. And if you wake up from 3 to 5 in the morning, that tells you that your lungs need some support. And then these are other ideas for sleep. So you could use several ideas. And I don't think we mentioned earlier that EMF detox has been a big one for several people for helping them sleep also, and for their anxiety levels, that the EMFs are doing that. So I think that's kind of where we're at today. I just wanted to thank you for coming. I really appreciate your time. And I really appreciate if you're able to share the WAVwatch with any veteran and give them some help and support of any kind. So maybe you've learned something that you could share with others, or maybe you need it for yourself. And I want to salute everybody out there who's a veteran. I have a group today, and some of you may be veterans, and it's hard to let each one of you talk. That's why we kind of changed our situation a little bit, so that we just have kind of special speakers. It was getting a little hard to hear everybody. But if you're a veteran, I may not get to say anything to you specifically, but thank you for your service. Anything else? Do we have any other comments or questions? Go ahead, Joseph.
Well, we have answered 67 questions, so very active questions in the chat. And thank you all for being open to this new way of working. As Linda was saying, you know, it's better to be able to really hear and honor our veterans and their stories. And so thank you all for chatting. A couple ones that have come up, Linda, is poison ivy. And somebody, Lynn, I think, had answered in the chat a something she used, but I didn't know if there are any frequencies, or if you knew something on the WAVwatch.
I don't think there's one that specifically says poison ivy, but inflammation would be the one to work with that. There's several inflammation frequency sets.
Yeah.
And then also an allergy, possibly too, in the allergy folder.
Yeah. And if you can go back to that last slide with the circle and the sleep. Yeah, that one. I just think, you know, the guys were talking about almost all of these except for EMF, but you know, what a holistic body we have. You know, our body is complex. And so we've got several questions in the chat about, one person actually asked about cortisol. And my response was, you know, cortisol is related to your adrenal system, which is also related to emotion. So, you know, if you don't see something for cortisol, do some research on your own, look at stress, look at adrenals, look at, you know, other additions. But do you have any other suggestions on that, Linda?
Just the adrenal balance, probably, you know.
Could also be hormone balance, right? Because
Yes,
cortisol
hormones could be one.
hormone.
Yeah.
And we did just see somebody on the chat responded, then said dermatitis has helped them with poison ivy. So thanks, Terry.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
In the skin area. Yes.
Yeah.
See,
So
we need help from everybody.
yeah, well, this has been wonderful. I think we've answered all of the questions here on the chat. If, again, like I said, if you had any specific questions for me, if you'd like these slides or to help with the vets, email joseph@wavwatch.com. If you have support questions for, which frequency to use for what, or, need help with your watch, then info@wavwatch.com. So that's all I've got.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming today. I really appreciate it. Happy Veterans Day.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.